For 15 years, my parents bought my siblings cars and gave me socks. When I bought an $850,000 manor, they showed up with a locksmith. I streamed everything live. They forgot me every Christmas, ignored every achievement, and only called when they needed something. But when my parents tried to break into the mansion I bought with a locksmith, bolt cutters, and a notarized document claiming legal right to my property, that's when I decided to turn their calculated invasion into a very public reckoning. On Christmas Eve 2024, I watched through my security cameras as my parents arrived at my newly purchased manor. My mother was already pointing at windows, discussing which rooms she'd redecorate. My father was on the phone with my brother, laughing about how Rachel always was too soft to fight back. They had no idea I was watching from my office in the East Wing, recording every word, every gesture, every moment of their calculated invasion. I picked up my phone and made 3 calls. The first was to my attorney. The second was to the police. The third was to post the live security feed on a private Instagram account where I'd already added every single person from my hometown, including their church friends, their coworkers, and the family members they had spent 15 years convincing that I was the ungrateful daughter who abandoned them. Then I walked downstairs, opened my front door, and smiled at the parents who forgot me every Christmas until I had something worth stealing. But to understand why this moment felt like pure oxygen after years of suffocation, you need to know about every Christmas they erased me from existence. I grew up in Millbrook, Connecticut, in a modest colonial house on Maple Street. My father, David, worked as an insurance claims adjuster. My mother, Linda, was a part-time dental receptionist. We weren't poor, but we weren't comfortable either. My older brother, Marcus, was 6 years older than me. My younger sister, Bethany, was 2 years younger. The first Christmas I remember clearly was when I was 7. Marcus got the new PlayStation he'd begged for. Bethany got the American Girl doll with the entire bedroom set. I got a pack of generic colored pencils and a coloring book from the dollar store. When I asked why Santa brought me less, my mother said, "Santa knows Marcus and Bethany are special. You're just Rachel. Just Rachel." That phrase became my identity. When I was 10, I made the mistake of getting straight A's while Marcus was failing 10th grade. Instead of celebrating my report card, my father sat me down and explained that I was making Marcus look bad, that I needed to tone down my achievements so he wouldn't feel inferior. When I refused, they stopped coming to my academic award ceremonies. All of them. Parent-teacher conferences became events where my teachers asked where my family was, and I learned to lie that they were working. By the time I was 13, the pattern was clear. Christmas morning meant watching Marcus and Bethany open piles of presents while I received 1 or 2 token gifts, usually practical items like socks or school supplies. My birthday fell on January 3rd, always forgotten in the post-Christmas exhaustion. I stopped expecting celebration after the year my mother forgot entirely and said, "Oh, was that this week?" when I reminded her 3 days later. The breaking point came during my 8th grade year. I had worked for 6 months on a science fair project about water purification systems. I made it to the state competition, held in Hartford on a Saturday in March. It was the biggest achievement of my young life. I begged my parents for weeks to watch me compete. The morning of the competition, I woke at 5 a.m., dressed in my best outfit, and waited by the door with my project boards. My parents never came downstairs. At 7 a.m., I knocked on their bedroom door. My father opened it, annoyed. "What is it, Rachel?" "It's Saturday. The science fair in Hartford. It starts at 9 o'clock. He stared at me like I was speaking another language. "We're not driving to Hartford. Marcus has a basketball game at noon." "But you promised. This is the state competition." "Rachel, Marcus' game is important. Your little science project can wait." It couldn't wait. It was that day only. I called my science teacher, Mrs. Palmer, crying. She drove 40 minutes to pick me up, took me to the competition, and watched me win 2nd place in the state. When we returned to Millbrook that evening, my parents were at Bethany's friend's birthday party at the roller rink. They came home at 9 p.m., never asked about the competition, and got angry when Mrs. Palmer called to congratulate them and gently mentioned that I needed a ride. "You're making us look bad to your teachers," my mother hissed. "Stop being so dramatic about everything." That summer, Mrs. Palmer pulled me aside before 8th grade ended. "Rachel, you're brilliant. Don't let anyone convince you otherwise. Apply yourself in high school, get scholarships, and get out. You deserve better than this." I took her advice like gospel. High school became my escape plan. I took every AP class offered, joined every academic club, and worked part-time at the public library. My parents barely noticed. They were too busy managing Marcus' various crises. He dropped out of community college twice and moved back home. Bethany had become a competitive cheerleader, which meant my parents' weekends revolved around her competitions and my father's weekends revolved around funding her expensive uniforms and travel. Christmas during my high school years followed the same pattern. Junior year, Marcus got a used car. Bethany got a professional photography session and new cheer gear. I got a $15 gift card to Target. Senior year, when I'd already been accepted to Yale with a full academic scholarship, Marcus got a new laptop. Bethany got concert tickets and designer clothes. I got a set of towels for my future dorm room. "You're going to college for free anyway," my mother said when I stayed quiet. "You don't need anything." What I needed was parents who celebrated that their daughter had earned a full ride to an Ivy League school. Instead, they complained that I was abandoning the family, moving 45 minutes away when I should stay local and help with expenses. "You could go to the community college and live at home," my father suggested. "Save money and help your mother with a house." I left for Yale in August 2014 and barely looked back. College was the first time I understood what it meant to be valued. My professors noticed my work. My classmates respected my ideas. I double majored in computer science and mathematics, maintained a 3.9 GPA, and landed competitive internships every summer. I came home for Christmas my freshman year. My parents had converted my childhood bedroom into a storage room for Bethany's cheer equipment. I slept on the couch. Christmas morning, Marcus got new tools for the car he'd wrecked twice. Bethany got a laptop for college applications. I got nothing. Not even token socks. We figured you're an adult now, my mother said. Christmas is really for kids. Marcus was 25. Bethany was 17. Apparently, only I had aged into irrelevance. I stopped coming home for Christmas after that. I spent holidays working internships, volunteering at soup kitchens, or staying with friends, families who actually wanted me there. My parents never called to ask why I wasn't coming. They never sent care packages at school. They forgot my birthday every single year. The only time they contacted me during college was when they needed something. My sophomore year, my father called asking me to co-sign a car loan for Marcus because his credit was destroyed. I refused. He didn't speak to me for 8 months. My junior year, my mother called asking if I could send money for Bethany's senior prom dress. I said no. She sent me a long text about being selfish and forgetting where I came from. Where I came from was a house where I was invisible unless I was useful. I graduated from Yale in May 2018, summa cum laude. My parents didn't attend the ceremony. They said it was too far to drive for just a graduation. Marcus was unemployed again and living in their basement. Bethany had dropped out of community college after 1 semester and was working retail. I moved to Hartford and started my career as a junior software developer at a cybersecurity firm. I was good at my work. Brilliant, even. Within 2 years, I was promoted to senior developer. At 24, I became a team lead. At 26, I was appointed software architect with a salary of $180,000 and substantial stock options. I lived frugally. I saved aggressively. I invested wisely. By 27, I had enough for a down payment on property. In November 2024, I found Ashford Manor. It was a sprawling estate in Litchfield County, built in 1904, sitting on 8 acres of wooded land. The main house had 6 bedrooms, 4 bathrooms, a library, a conservatory, and original hardwood floors throughout. It needed work, but the bones were stunning. The price was $850,000, reasonable for the area given the renovations needed. I made an offer. It was accepted. I put down $170,000, 20% I'd saved over 6 years. The mortgage was steep, but manageable on my salary. I closed in early December. The first night I spent in the manor, I walked through every room, touching the crown molding, looking out the original wavy glass windows, and cried. Not from sadness, from the sheer disbelief that I, just Rachel, the forgotten daughter, had claimed this beautiful space as mine. I posted one photo to Instagram, a picture of the manor's front entrance with the caption, "New beginnings in my new home." I'd kept my Instagram private for years, sharing only with close friends and colleagues. I didn't think about my parents seeing it. They'd never followed me on social media, never shown interest in my life. But someone from Millbrook must have screenshotted it and shared it in one of those hometown Facebook groups, because 3 days later my phone exploded with messages. My mother called first. I didn't recognize her number since I'd deleted it years ago, but she left a voicemail. "Rachel, honey, it's Mom. We saw your beautiful new house. We're so proud of you. We'd love to come visit for Christmas. It's been too long. Call me back." Her voice was sticky sweet, the tone she used when she wanted something. My father texted, "Heard you bought a mansion. Good for you. Your mother wants to do Christmas there this year. We'll bring the family." My brother Marcus called. "Yo, RA, heard you're loaded now. Think you could help me out with rent? I'm in a tough spot." My sister Bethany sent a long message about how she'd always known I'd be successful, and how close we used to be as kids, and how she'd love to reconnect, and maybe I could help her start her online boutique business. I didn't respond to any of them. A week later, my mother showed up at my office. I don't know how she found where I worked. She'd never asked about my career, but there she was in the lobby asking the receptionist to let me know my mother was there to see me. I should have refused, but curiosity and some buried instinct made me go down. She looked older, 54 now, her hair more gray than brown, her face lined with what I wanted to believe was regret, but recognized as calculation. "Rachel, sweetheart." She moved to hug me. I stepped back. "What do you want?" Her smile faltered. "I wanted to see you. It's been years. When we saw you bought that beautiful house, we realized we'd let too much time pass. We want to reconnect, be a family again." "We were never a family," I said flatly. "Don't say that. We made mistakes, yes, but we're still your parents. And Christmas is about forgiveness and togetherness. We'd love to celebrate at your new place. All of us, like old times." Like old times would mean me being ignored while you focus on Marcus and Bethany. She blinked, clearly not expecting confrontation. "You're being dramatic. We loved you just as much. You gave me socks for Christmas while they got cars and computers. You forgot my birthday every year. You didn't come to my Yale graduation. You never called unless you wanted money. We were struggling financially. We did the best we could. No, you did the best you could for your favorites. I was the afterthought." Her expression hardened. "After everything we did for you, putting a roof over your head, feeding you, and this is how you repay us? By throwing our love back in our faces?" The audacity was breathtaking. "You need to leave. We're coming for Christmas whether you invite us or not. You owe us that much. I owe you nothing. And if you show up at my house, I'll call the police. She stood, gathering her purse with sharp movements. You've changed, Rachel. Success has made you cold. But family is family. We'll be there Christmas Eve. You'll see reason by then. She left. I stood in the lobby, shaking. That evening, I called my attorney, Jeremy Walsh, someone I'd worked with on my house purchase. I explained the situation and asked what legal protections I could put in place. Get security cameras, he advised. Document everything. If they trespass, call the police immediately. I'll draft a cease and desist letter. I installed a state-of-the-art security system that week. 16 cameras covering every entrance, every window, every acre of the property, motion sensors. The feed went directly to my phone and laptop. I could monitor everything in real time. The cease and desist letter was delivered to my parents' house 3 days before Christmas. It clearly stated they were not welcome on my property and any attempt to enter would result in legal action. My father called, screaming. I didn't answer. He left a voicemail saying I was an ungrateful child who'd forgotten where she came from and how dare I threaten my own parents with legal action. I saved the voicemail. My mother sent a text saying I was breaking her heart and she'd always loved me and this was cruel. I screenshotted it. Marcus posted on Facebook, some people get a little money and forget their family. Sad. I screenshotted that, too. Christmas Eve arrived. I was in my office working on a project proposal when my phone buzzed with a motion alert. I pulled up the security feed, and there they were. My parents' car pulling into my circular driveway. Behind them, Marcus' truck. All 3 of them got out. And they weren't alone. A man I didn't recognize was with them, carrying a toolbox. A locksmith, I realized. My father was on his phone. My mother was pointing at the house, gesturing animatedly. I turned on the audio feed. Told you she wouldn't answer the door, my father was saying. We'll have the locksmith get us in. Once we're inside, she can't do anything. Possession is 9/10 of the law. Are you sure this is legal? The locksmith asked, looking uncomfortable. She's our daughter, my mother said firmly. We have every right to be in her home. She's just being difficult. Marcus laughed. Rachel always was dramatic. Wait till she sees we're not leaving. She'll back down. She always does. My heart pounded. Not with fear, but with pure rage and opportunity. I picked up my phone and made the first call. Jeremy answered on the first ring. Rachel, what's happening? They're here with a locksmith. I have them on camera saying they're going to break in. They think I'm not home. Don't confront them. I'm calling the police right now. Keep recording everything. The second call was to the Westfield Police non-emergency line. I explained calmly that my parents, from whom I had a cease and desist order, were attempting to break into my home with a locksmith. I gave them my address and said I had video evidence of their intention to trespass. Officers are en route, the dispatcher confirmed. Stay inside and keep your doors locked. The third call was to myself, in a way. I opened Instagram and created a private story, adding every person I could find from Millbrook, former teachers who'd friended me over the years, people from my high school class, my parents' coworkers whose profiles I'd found through their tags, the church directory I'd screenshotted years ago, even distant relatives. I titled it, When Your Parents Forgot You for 15 Years, But Remember You When You Buy Property. Then I streamed the live security feed. By the time I walked downstairs, 147 people were watching. I opened my front door slowly. The locksmith had his tools out, examining my deadbolt. My father was standing beside him, arms crossed. My mother was peering through my front windows. Marcus was filming on his phone, probably for some social media post about their rightful claim. They all froze when they saw me. Rachel. My mother's face transformed into a smile so fake it could have been plastic. Sweetheart, you're home. We were worried when you didn't answer. We brought someone to help us get in so we could surprise you. Surprise me by breaking into my house? Not breaking in, my father said firmly. Coming home. This is a family home now. We're family. You sent a cease and desist? Marcus added, lowering his phone. That's messed up, R.A. We just want to spend Christmas together. The locksmith stepped back. Ma'am, if you're home and don't want these people here, I'm not touching your lock. That's illegal entry. She wants us here, my mother insisted. She's just being stubborn. Rachel, stop this nonsense and let us in. We drove all this way. You drove all this way after I explicitly told you not to come? After my attorney sent you a legal document stating you're not welcome? We're your parents. My father's voice rose. You don't get to ban us from your life because you're mad about some childhood stuff? We fed you, clothed you, put a roof over your head for 18 years. You owe us respect. Respect? I laughed, and it sounded harsh even to my ears. You forgot me every Christmas. You missed my graduation. You never called unless you wanted money. And now you show up with a locksmith because you think you can just take what's mine. What's yours? Marcus stepped forward. You think you bought this place alone? You used family connections, family name. I used my own money that I earned from a career you know nothing about because none of you ever asked. My mother's expression shifted, the sweetness evaporating. You've always been selfish, Rachel. Always thought you were better than us because you went to some fancy school. But you're still our daughter and this house is big enough for all of us. We're moving in. The absolute audacity paralyzed me for a second. You're moving in? We lost our house, my father said flatly. Bank foreclosed last month. Marcus is between jobs. Bethany's living with her boyfriend, but that's not working out. We're family. You have 6 bedrooms. We need a place to stay. The pieces clicked together. This wasn't about Christmas. This wasn't about reconnection. They were homeless and saw me as their solution. So, you thought you'd just break in and claim squatters' rights? It wouldn't be squatting if you let us in willingly, my mother said. Don't be cruel, Rachel. It's Christmas Eve. I haven't been your daughter for 15 years, I said quietly. I'm not going to become your landlord now. You ungrateful, my father started forward. That's when the police cars arrived. 2 patrol vehicles pulled into my driveway, lights flashing. My parents' expressions transformed from anger to panic. Marcus shoved his phone in his pocket. The locksmith was already walking quickly toward his van. 2 officers approached. The older one, Officer Santos, according to his nameplate, looked at me. Ma'am, you called about a trespass attempt? Yes, these people are my biological parents and my brother. I have a cease and desist order against them. They arrived with a locksmith and stated on camera that they intended to gain entry to my home without permission. That's not what happened, my mother said quickly. This is a misunderstanding. We're her family. We just wanted to visit for Christmas. Do you have permission to be on this property? Officer Santos asked. We're her parents, my father said. We don't need permission. Actually, sir, you do. If the property owner has asked you not to be here, and you've been served with a cease and desist, your presence is trespassing. We never got any cease and desist. My mother lied smoothly. I pulled up the certified mail receipt on my phone. Signed for by Linda Carter on December 21st at 10:37 a.m. Officer Santos examined it. Ma'am, you're clearly not welcome here. You need to leave. If you return to this property, you'll be arrested for criminal trespass. She's being ridiculous. Marcus interjected. She's our sister. She bought this huge house and we lost ours. She should help us. Your sister's property is her own. You have no legal claim to it. What about family responsibility? My mother's voice took on a pleading tone. Officer, we're homeless. Our daughter has 6 bedrooms and won't even let us stay for one night. What kind of person does that? The kind who was smart enough to protect herself legally, the younger officer said quietly. My father turned to me, his expression darkening. You called the cops on your own parents on Christmas Eve. You tried to break into my house. We were going to surprise you with forced entry? I have the footage. You told the locksmith to get you in because I wouldn't answer. You said once you were inside, I couldn't do anything. My mother's face paled. You recorded us? I have security cameras covering my entire property. Everything you said and did is documented, including Marcus' Facebook post about me forgetting my family, which I screenshotted, and the voicemail Dad left calling me ungrateful, and your text, Mom, about me being cruel. All saved. The officers exchanged glances. Officer Santos turned to my parents. You need to leave now. If you return to this property, you'll be arrested for criminal trespass. Where are we supposed to go? My mother cried. We have nowhere. That's not my problem, I said quietly. You made me feel like nothing for 18 years. You taught me I was just Rachel. Not worth celebrating. Not worth remembering. You forgot my birthday every year. You gave me socks while my siblings got cars. You missed the most important moments of my life. And now you want me to rescue you from the consequences of your own choices? No, we made mistakes, my father said, his voice strained. But we're still your parents. Biology doesn't make you parents. Care does. Presence does. You were never present for me. I learned to survive without you. Now you can learn the same. My mother collapsed into sobs. Theatrical, loud sobs designed to make me look like a monster. Marcus put his arm around her. My father stared at me with pure hatred. You'll regret this, he said quietly. Family doesn't forget. You're right, I replied. I won't forget 15 years of being invisible. Now get off my property. The officers escorted them to their vehicles. As they drove away, Marcus leaned out his truck window. This isn't over, Rachel. But it was. I had made sure of that. Back inside, I checked Instagram. The live feed had been viewed by 312 people. The comments were flooding in. Oh my God, they really tried to break in. I remember Rachel from high school. Her parents never showed up to anything. This is wild. She has every right to protect her property. Those parents are delusional. I screenshotted everything and sent it to Jeremy. Then I sat in my library, the room that had sold me on this house, and felt something I hadn't felt in years. Peace. The next morning, Christmas Day, I woke to 74 missed calls. I blocked every number. Then I received an email from Jeremy. Rachel, your Instagram post has created quite a stir. Several people from your hometown have reached out to me, offering to provide statements about your parents' behavior over the years if needed. Also, your parents contacted a local news station, claiming you abandoned them in their time of need. The reporter reached out for your side. I advised them of the legal situation, and they've declined to run the story without more evidence. Your parents are claiming the security footage is fabricated. I recommend we prepare for potential legal action from them. They may try to sue for elder care or familial support. Elder care? They were 54 and 56, healthy, capable of working. They'd lost their house due to poor financial decisions, not my neglect. I spent Christmas Day documenting everything. Every forgotten birthday, every missed graduation, every Christmas where I received socks while my siblings got expensive gifts. I created a timeline with dates, witnesses, and whatever evidence I still had, old report cards my teachers had mailed to me at Yale with notes saying they were proud, graduation programs from high school ceremonies my parents skipped, my Yale diploma they never acknowledged. I also pulled financial records. Over the 6 years since graduating, my parents had asked me for money 14 times, co-signing loans, rent help, car repairs, medical bills that turned out to be cosmetic procedures for my mother. I'd refused every request. I documented each one. By evening, I had a 40-page document that painted a clear picture. I was not an ungrateful daughter. I was a survivor of emotional neglect who'd built a successful life despite my family, not because of them. Jeremy reviewed it the day after Christmas. This is thorough. If they attempt to sue, this will demonstrate a pattern of behavior that absolves you of filial responsibility. Connecticut doesn't have strong filial support laws anyway, but this makes it clear they have no claim. What about the break-in attempt? I filed for a restraining order. Given the video evidence and the cease and desist violation, it should be granted. They won't be able to come within 500 feet of you or this property. The restraining order hearing was scheduled for January 3rd, my 29th birthday. The irony wasn't lost on me. In the meantime, the fallout continued. My parents tried to rally support through their church, painting me as a wealthy daughter who'd abandoned her struggling parents, but too many people had seen the Instagram footage. The pastor called me, and I sent him the full documentation. He stopped supporting their narrative publicly. Bethany reached out through a friend's account since I'd blocked her. Rachel, please. Mom and Dad are staying in a motel. Marcus is living in his truck. I'm trying to help, but I can't support everyone. Can't you just let them stay in one room? They're desperate. I didn't respond. My former high school science teacher, Mrs. Palmer, now retired, sent me a letter. Rachel, I watched what happened. I'm so proud of the boundaries you've set. You deserved better then, and you deserve peace now. Don't let them guilt you. You owe them nothing. I cried reading that. Validation from someone who'd witnessed my childhood felt like medicine. New Year's came and went. I spent it with colleagues from work, people who'd become genuine friends. We toasted in my conservatory, and someone joked about my viral Christmas drama. I laughed, but it still felt surreal. On January 2nd, the day before the restraining order hearing, my father made one last attempt. He showed up at my office again. Security called me, and I watched through the lobby camera as he pleaded with the receptionist. I just need 5 minutes with my daughter. Please, it's important. The receptionist, following my instructions, told him I wasn't available. He got agitated, raised his voice. Building security escorted him out. He sent a text from a new number. You win, Rachel. You've destroyed your family. I hope you're happy alone in your big empty house, but remember, you'll get old someday, too. Who will take care of you when you have no one? I screenshotted it, added it to my evidence file, and blocked the number. The hearing on January 3rd was surprisingly brief. The judge reviewed the video evidence, the cease and desist, my documentation of their behavior, and my father's text. Mr. and Mrs. Carter, do you have any evidence to counter these claims? My mother cried. My father argued they were just trying to reconnect with their daughter. Marcus wasn't present. Apparently, he'd found work in another state and left. The evidence is clear, the judge said. You attempted to gain illegal entry to Ms. Carter's property. You violated a cease and desist order. The restraining order is granted. You are not to contact Ms. Carter directly or indirectly. You are not to come within 500 feet of her residence or workplace. Violation will result in arrest. Do you understand? They understood. They looked diminished walking out of the courthouse. My mother glanced back once, and I saw something in her face. Not remorse, disbelief. She genuinely couldn't comprehend that I'd followed through, that I'd chosen myself over them. Outside, Jeremy congratulated me. You handled this perfectly. Most people cave to family pressure. They stopped being my family a long time ago. What will you do now? Live my life. The one I built without them. February brought unexpected developments. Bethany appeared at a coffee shop I frequented. No violation of the restraining order since it only covered my parents and Marcus. I could have left. Instead, I stayed. She looked exhausted. 26, but appearing older. Her hair in a messy ponytail. Her clothes wrinkled. I'm not here to ambush you, she said, sitting without invitation. I just want you to understand what you've done. What I've done. Mom and Dad are living in a weekly motel. Dad's insurance job doesn't pay enough for first and last month's rent anywhere. Mom can't work full-time because of her anxiety, which you've made worse. Marcus left the state. I'm trying to finish my associate's degree while working 2 jobs, and I can't help them anymore. They're going to end up on the street. That's unfortunate. Her eyes widened. That's all you have to say? What do you want me to say, Bethany? That I'll rescue them? Give them money? Let them move in? After everything, they're our parents. They were your parents. They were my DNA donors who provided basic legal obligations and nothing more. That's not true. They loved you. They loved you. They celebrated you. They forgot me consistently, deliberately for my entire childhood. You're exaggerating. Am I? Tell me one birthday they remembered. One academic achievement they attended. One time they chose me over you or Marcus. She faltered. They were stressed. Money was tight. Money was tight so they bought Marcus a car but gave me socks? Money was tight so they paid for your cheer competitions but didn't drive me to the state science fair. I didn't know about the science fair. Exactly. Because in our family, my accomplishments didn't matter. And now that I've succeeded despite them, they think they're entitled to benefit. They're not. Bethany's expression hardened. You've become cold. I've become protected. There's a difference. They're going to lose everything. They already lost everything. Their house, their dignity, their daughter. They lost me when I was 13 and realized I was invisible. This is just the consequences catching up. She stood abruptly. I hope you can live with yourself. I can, easily. For the first time in my life, I can breathe without waiting to be forgotten. She left. I sat with my coffee, and I felt nothing. No guilt, no regret, just quiet certainty that I'd made the right choice. March brought an attempt at a lawsuit. My parents filed a claim for financial elder abuse, despite not being elderly, arguing I had a moral obligation to support them. Their attorney was bargain basement, working on contingency. Jeremy had it dismissed within 3 weeks. The judge called it frivolous. Wow, he told me. You're 28. They're in their 50s. There's no legal basis for them to claim support. Plus, your documentation of their neglect sealed it. They've been ordered to pay your legal fees. They don't have money for that. I know, but it's on record. They can't try this again. April brought silence. No more calls from unknown numbers. No more ambushes. No more third-party pleas. My parents had finally understood. I was unreachable. I spent my time renovating the manor. I hired contractors to restore the conservatory, update the kitchen, refinish the hardwood floors. I planted a garden on 2 of my 8 acres, vegetables and flowers. I adopted a dog from a local shelter, a golden retriever mix named Edison, who became my constant companion. I started hosting dinners for friends. My home became a gathering place for people I chose, people who valued me, colleagues from work, former professors from Yale, Mrs. Palmer, my high school teacher, who drove out monthly to visit. One evening in May, Mrs. Palmer and I sat on my back terrace watching the sunset. Edison dozed at our feet. "You've built something beautiful here," she said. "I built the life they said I couldn't have. They always told me I needed family, that I'd be nothing without them. But I'm more than I ever was with them. Do you think about them? Sometimes. But not with longing. With relief that I escaped. No part of you wants reconciliation?" I considered the question honestly. Maybe 5 years ago I would have, when I still hoped they'd see me, really see me. But they showed me exactly who they are when they tried to break into my house. They don't want a daughter. They want a resource. And I refuse to be used. She nodded. That's wisdom, Rachel. Hard-won wisdom. In June, I received a message through LinkedIn, the last platform I hadn't completely locked down. It was from Marcus. R.A. I know things got crazy. I'm sorry for my part. I'm in Colorado now. Got a job in construction, doing better. I don't want anything from you. Just wanted you to know I get it now. What you were saying about how they treated you different. I see it now that I'm away from them. Dad calls me every day asking for money. Mom guilt trips me constantly. I can't imagine dealing with that your whole childhood. Anyway, hope you're good. I didn't respond. His apology, if it was one, came too late and cost him nothing. July brought the final confrontation. My parents violated the restraining order. They showed up at my property at 2 o'clock in the morning. Drunk, desperate, with a wild plan. I was alerted by the motion sensors and watched through the security feed as they stumbled around my driveway. My mother was crying, shrieking, actually. "Rachel, we know you're in there. Please, we're going to die out here. You have to help us." My father was trying to break a window with a rock. He was too intoxicated to succeed, but the intention was clear. I called 911. Then I called Jeremy. The police arrived within 8 minutes. My parents were arrested for violation of a restraining order, attempted breaking and entering, and trespassing. They spent the night in jail. Their arraignment was the next morning. I attended, sitting in the gallery. They looked broken, haggard. My mother's hair was unwashed. My father had lost weight, his clothes hanging loose. The prosecutor outlined the charges. These defendants have repeatedly violated court orders and attempted illegal entry. Given the escalating pattern of behavior, the state requests they be held pending trial. Their attorney, a public defender, argued they were desperate, not dangerous. They're homeless. They're scared. They made a mistake. The judge looked at my parents. You've been given multiple opportunities to respect boundaries. You've been given legal warnings. You chose to ignore all of it. I'm setting bail at $50,000 each. If you make bail, you'll be on house arrest with GPS monitoring. Trial is set for September. They couldn't make bail. They sat in county jail for 3 weeks before taking a plea deal. Guilty to trespassing and restraining order violation, suspended sentence with 5 years probation, mandatory psychiatric evaluation, and a permanent no-contact order. They walked out of the courthouse in August, and I watched from Jeremy's car. They looked destroyed. My mother was crying. My father was staring at the ground. They got into Bethany's car. She'd been there for the proceedings and drove away. That was the last time I saw them. September, October, November passed quietly. I thrived at work, receiving a promotion to principal architect. My salary increased to $220,000. I paid down my mortgage aggressively, invested the rest, and planned for a future built entirely on my own terms. I started volunteering at a youth center, mentoring teenage girls from difficult homes. I shared my story carefully, always emphasizing, you are not responsible for fixing your family. You are allowed to choose yourself. One girl, 16, with parents who openly favored her brother, asked me, "But don't you feel guilty? They're still your parents. They're still the people who raised me." I corrected, but parents is an earned title. They didn't earn it. And I refused to feel guilty for not lighting myself on fire to keep them warm. In December, as my second Christmas in the manor approached, I received a card in the mail. It had been forwarded through 3 addresses, finally reaching me. The return address was a homeless shelter in Bridgeport. Inside was a single line in my mother's handwriting. "I hope you're happy now. You destroyed us. Merry Christmas." I held the card for a long moment. Then I tore it in half and threw it in the fireplace. Edison watched me, his tail wagging. I scratched behind his ears. "I am happy," I said aloud. "For the first time in my life, I'm happy, and they'll never take that from me." It's been 3 years since that Christmas Eve when my parents tried to break into my home. I'm 31 now, still living in Ashford Manor, which I've fully renovated into exactly what I envisioned. I heard through the hometown grapevine that my parents eventually found subsidized housing in a different county. My father works part-time at a hardware store. My mother is on disability for her anxiety and depression caused by her daughter's abandonment. According to Bethany's last email, which I never responded to, Marcus is still in Colorado, apparently married now. He sent a wedding announcement to my old address, which was forwarded. I didn't attend. Bethany finished her associate's degree and works as a dental hygienist. She's cut contact with our parents, from what I understand, after they tried to manipulate her into co-signing a loan. I've been promoted again at work, now serving as director of software architecture. My salary is $280,000. I've paid off half my mortgage. My investments have grown substantially. I own my life completely. Last week, I received a friend request on Facebook from my mother using a fake name, but I recognized her profile picture. I declined it and tightened my privacy settings. They still try to find ways to reach me, and I still block them every time. People occasionally ask if I'll ever reconcile with my family. Coworkers who hear the story secondhand, distant acquaintances who think blood should mean forgiveness. I tell them the same thing every time. They had 18 years to be my parents. They chose not to be. I have the rest of my life to be happy without them. I choose that instead. Mrs. Palmer passed away last spring at 82. She left me a letter to be opened after her death. In it, she wrote, "Rachel, you were always meant for more than they could understand. Never apologize for becoming the person you were meant to be. The best revenge is a life well lived, and yours is extraordinary." I framed that letter. It hangs in my office. Last month, I started dating someone I met through work, a colleague from our Boston office named David. He knows my history. I told him everything on our third date, half expecting him to run. Instead, he said, "You're the strongest person I've ever met." Strength wasn't something I felt growing up. I felt invisible, forgotten, less than. But I learned that sometimes strength is built in the gaps where love should have been. Sometimes you have to raise yourself. And when you do it successfully, the life you build is authentically yours. I spend my weekends in the gardens I planted, walking Edison through my 8 acres, reading in my library, hosting dinner parties for people who chose me as much as I chose them. I've created the family I needed. Friends who show up, colleagues who respect me, a partner who values me, and a support system built on mutual care rather than obligation. My parents destroyed their own lives through decades of poor choices, financial mismanagement, and emotional neglect of the one child who could have helped them if they'd treated her with basic decency. They gambled that I would cave, that biology would override self-preservation, that guilt would win. They lost that gamble, and I won everything. Peace, success, genuine relationships, and a home that's a sanctuary instead of a prison of invisibility. Every Christmas I toast with my chosen family in the same conservatory where my parents once thought they'd forced their way into my life. I toast to boundaries, to self-worth, to the radical act of choosing yourself when no one else will. And I sleep soundly every night knowing I owe them nothing but the lesson they taught me by accident, that you can survive being forgotten. And in that survival, you can build something they'll never touch, never tarnish, never take away. They're still out there somewhere, probably telling anyone who will listen about their ungrateful daughter who abandoned them. Let them tell that story. Have you ever had to draw a line in the sand with your family, even if it meant risking everything? What does family truly mean to you? Tell me what you think, I really want to know.